Kramer?
Here.
Mrs. Lane?
Here.
Mrs. Rich?
Here.
Mrs. Gallagher?
Here.
Mr. Kraftcheck?
Here.
Mr. Parzak?
Here.
The meeting is now open. Adequate notice of the meeting was provided by posting a copy of the time and place on the municipal clerk's bulletin board and mailing a copy of same to the press and the Cape May County Herald on January 8th, 2017. Would everyone please rise to salute the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have a motion concerning the minutes?
Yes, Madam Mayor, since all members of council have been provided with a copy of the minutes of the work session and the meeting of October 17th, 2017, and the work session and the meeting of November 7th, 2017, if there are no additions or corrections, I move we dispense with the reading of the minutes and that they be approved.
Before you
Second.
take the vote, November 7th meeting was amended, so it will read November 7th meeting as amended.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We'll now have public comment. Anyone wishing to address mayor and councils may do so at this time by coming forward to the microphone and stating your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My name is Jim Fleischman. I think most of you know me. I live in Avalon, 275 13th Street, but I also happen to be the commander of the American Legion in Stone Harbor. I am here just to say thank you to all the members of the council for the things they have done for us. Without you, we're in trouble. Whether it's the DPW, the police department, the fire department, EMS, they all contribute to no end. Whenever we call and we need something, they show up. And I can't say enough thanks for what you do. And we've developed a great relationship and hope to keep it going for a long, long time, longer than I'm going to be around. But thank you very much. What I'd also like to do, and I know some people are going, December 2nd, we have a Christmas party that's at the, I won't make a mistake, Stone Harbor Yacht Club. Starts at 5 o'clock. And invite you guys, I know there's a bunch that are going, but to come, enjoy, meet the people, because there's going to be more than Legion people there, your constituents and whatever. And it's a fun night out. Have a couple cocktails and a nice dinner, and can't ask you to have a better time than there. But thank you again for all that you've done over the past year. It's just like in the past Veterans Day ceremony. I was told today that I wasn't there. I wasn't. I was in Michigan with grandchildren. And Tom McCullough was the host and master of ceremonies and did a wonderful job. But things like that, whether it's 4th of July, whether it's Memorial Day, how we get together between the two towns and come down and speak at your ceremony, and you're always welcomed at ours, and we have a good relationship, and I want to say thank you again from all of us.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Thank you for everything you
Thank
do
you.
for
Okay.
our community. Just one more thing, Commander, don't you have an open house the day after the party too? Is that December 3rd?
Thank you. This December 3rd, it's a Sunday after, we have an open house. It's called Home for the Holidays. What we do, I started this 4 or 5 years ago. Since this is a Coast Guard community, we sponsor the Coast Guard people there. They have to meet rank and they have to meet approval by the base. But this year we are sending a single male, single female, a married couple, no kids, a married couple with 3 kids. They're going from Hawaii, Wisconsin, Texas, and Florida. We send them, doesn't cost them a dime. It's all the local vendors around here that contribute, and you're all welcome to come down there. It's 1 o'clock, isn't it, Tom? Right. Will be a light lunch, Jim? Light lunch, 1 o'clock. It's only for a couple hours, but there's snacks and food to eat, and there'll be World War II veterans there. all these 8, 9 people that are being sent on vacation. In fact, one of them is away now for Thanksgiving. They're given the opportunity they can go to either for Christmas or Thanksgiving. And depending what family obligations are, they select whichever one they want. And I happened to call one of them, and he says, I'm in Florida. I says, I thought you were Christmas. He said, no, we changed it to Thanksgiving. He said, it doesn't matter to me. Their tickets are paid for, their ride to the airport was all taken care of, and they're just thrilled. But they'll all
Very
be
nice.
there
And all of them will be there this year. Good.
to meet the people there. The World War II people really enjoy meeting these guys because they're in their late 80s.
Yeah,
And
it's
here
a
these
nice
are-
mix, yes.
So it's a good time. It goes by real fast. And if you can make it on December 3rd, please stop by.
Thank you.
Thank you from
What time did you say?
1 to 3.
Thank you.
And in the back row is the vice commander,
Yes.
Tom McCullough.
Stand up.
Everyone say hi to Tom. Hi, Tom.
He was master of ceremonies while I was away.
And he did a fine job.
Great job.
Okay. Thank you very, very much
Thank
for
you very
allowing
much.
me to speak.
Yep.
And we will, well, I know I'm going to see some of you.
Yep, and we'll see you December 2nd.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wish to address mayor and council? Seeing nobody, I will close public comment. Ordinance 1510.
Madam Mayor, I ask that ordinance 1510 be taken up on first reading.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Will the clerk read the title only of ordinance 1510 on first reading?
An ordinance amending Chapter 178, building construction.
This is an ordinance that we have talked about for 3 months and have had numerous meetings, and survey by the POA overwhelmingly supports this. And hopefully this will add to the quiet enjoyment that people are entitled to for their summer months. So I ask that
So you moved it to be passed on first reading. Did we already go through that?
you didn't call the roll.
Did you move it on first reading, published according to law, so on and so forth?
Right. I move that ordinance 1510 be passed on first reading, published according to law, and that it be taken up on second, third, and final reading and adoption at a meeting of mayor and council to be held on the 19th day of December, 2017.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, I have some discussion. I just want to start by saying that with regard to essentially 99% of this ordinance, I fully support it. There's one area in particular that leads me to cast a no vote to support this on its first reading. And that particular aspect relates to the prohibition of driving pilings during the main summer months of essentially July and August. I was pleased that we were able to meet with contractors at Mr. Councilperson Ray Parzic's suggestion, and I think that meeting was very conducive to communication with contractors, as well as hearing their input on many matters, but in particular on the pilings. I came away from that work session meeting last Friday with the distinct impression that all contractors in attendance, including Brandywine Developers, DL Minor, Tom Welsh Builders, and Hardball Developers, strongly opposed this prohibition regarding pilings, and they enumerated various reasons for their opposition, which were very articulate and, in my opinion, were also well-founded. They made a lot of sense. A follow-up email was sent to me by Brian Stewart of DL Minor, and I wanted to read a relevant portion of that email correspondence into the record. This was sent to me on Sunday. In relevant portion, I think all the builders were united in the preference to avoid restriction of piling in the summer months. As Tom Welsh pointed out, the pilings take 1 day to install and therefore have limited disturbance when compared to other aspects of the project. If pilings are restricted, then we, as builders, would then be forced to rush some of the projects through and drive piles before July 1st, the July 1st deadline. This would then make it more likely that these projects would be framing in summer. Framing is the noisiest part of the project. Also, if projects must be postponed to fall due to restrictions, then the projects will likely end up extending into the next summer. At the end of a typical project, there are more subcontractors involved than at the very beginning of a project. Therefore, this restriction would actually exacerbate the parking and noise issues. As a follow-up to that, I would also like to read into the record a relevant portion of an email that was sent from Robert Charmella of Chapoa to our mayor and CC'd Jill Gouger, our borough administrator. In relevant portion, Mr. Charmella states, "The sticking point," in quotes, "that you mentioned regarding the piling seems entirely reasonable, and Chapoa supports the contractor's position. Now that the council has created momentum regarding the ordinance changes, it seems that this minor point should not disable progress that has been reached thus far."
Well,
So,
you and
what
I
we have
was-
here, please let me finish. What we have here is we have feedback, and we have good feedback. And so we have Chapoa, who we reached out to for their input. We had a survey done. Their survey said overwhelmingly, yes, we want changes. And most of this ordinance addresses those changes. We've agreed to limit work on Saturdays. We've agreed to no demolition during the summer. There's a number of changes, but I just think this goes too far. I asked other council members to go out and check out a piling job, see what it's like. The only one that I know of that did was Mr. Parzic. I spoke to Mr. Parzic after he did so, and he communicated to me that it seemed completely innocuous. He counted 45 seconds between each piling being augured in and dropped in the hole. He communicated to me that that process did not seem very disturbing. So I think that this goes too far, and I think, as Mr. Stewart pointed out, this will actually exacerbate the problem. It's not so much that we're just prohibiting it, and sure, it will help alleviate a little bit. It actually will make the problem worse, and that's why I don't support this ordinance as it reads now.
First of all, we must have attended two different meetings, because one of them shook the paper and said, "We are not opposed to this, anything on here." Mr. Harbaugh, the same thing. So all these things happened afterwards. I saw you in negotiations with Chapoa. The reason we don't want the pilings is because we do not want all of the framing and everything else. It will stop and alleviate a lot of that. We've had these discussions. The work that was done after that meeting and behind our back was wrong, and you should have involved me in it since I am chair of A&F. And you did not. How they were all sent to you, I don't know, but that was wrong, and it was rude. So, that said, we have it on the table, and let's see how it goes.
And I'd like to say a point of order. This is the first reading of this. I do not believe this is the time for someone else's emails to be read. This is a time for us to move this forward.
No, the first reading is for this. It's
for
there's
this.
public comments, so
Second
on and
and
so
third
forth
on.
yet through. No, this is exactly the time for it. It definitely is.
After the motion's been seconded, you have discussion on the motion. This wouldn't be the time for public comment. That comes at second reading.
And I'd like to say something, Madam Mayor. At our last meeting, when Mr. Pappas was up here from Brandywine, I asked a very poignant question. I said to him, could we, or would it be possible to have a compromise between council and the construction people? And he said yes. I said, if we do away with the driving of the pilings and the demolition, I stood in front of a house on 104th Street for demolition. It was down in less than a day. Then we would give you the other, we would put the other items that are on there in play. and they would be the ordinance. And he said they would be thrilled, all of the contractors. A lot of them, yes, thrilled. And that was the word he used, and if you go back to the minutes, you can see that's like verbatim exactly what he said. So they would be thrilled if we would do a compromise between council and the contractors. They're hardworking people, they're trying to make a living, and I think it's only fair that we compromise.
And I just want to follow up, Karen, I didn't have any meeting. This was an email that was sent to me.
No, but I saw you in
To-
negotiations with Chapoa, and I've seen you, so I'm not going to belabor it.
But Karen,
It
you've
is
been
what it is.
negotiating with everybody on council
It's
that you could
it's
to
called
get this
contact
passed.
with your constituency. Chappaqua is part of our constituency. How is that negotiating? I'm hearing what they have to say.
And what it was is Bob Tremella reached out to say, where are you guys on this ordinance? It was before the meeting on Friday. And he emailed Jill and I, and he said, where are you on this
This
ordinance?
email's November 14th.
And I said, at that point, I said, there's a meeting being set up. The sticking point appears to be the addition of pilings, but it's still being talked about, and a meeting is being set up, and from what I understand, a member of your organization's going to be there. And that was his answer.
And yes, and I don't think they were made aware of the whole reason for the not driving the pilings, so that we don't have the noise of the framing, we don't have the parking problems. That should help eliminate a lot of the parking problems, because you won't have all these crews there that are working on the framing and everything else that goes on. So it should alleviate a lot of it.
And again, I think it's my position, you can have an opinion one way or another. My position is that it'll actually create more of a problem down the road. Is that, so you'll either have, as Brian said in his email, you'll have some contractors that hurry up and get pilings in just as they will with the demo beforehand. And then you're actually subjecting Stone Harbor to foundation and framing in those 2 months, which are the ones that, by way of Saturdays, we're trying to eliminate because they're so darn noisy. So you're actually setting yourself up for failure by including this. And then on the counterpart of that is that people who don't get them done in time, pilings for that deadline, they'll start them right after the Labor Day weekend. That's going to shove the project into the next summer, June, July of the next summer. These take at least 10 months to do, these homes. So now, next summer, you'll have 14 trucks trying to do finish work on the house and get it done in time for the summer. You're going to create an environment that's worse than
I don't
by
think
what
so.
you're, by eliminating a day's worth of pilings.
You
It's
won't
just
have
my
the
view.
framing.
You don't have to agree with me. I'm just
won't have
telling you what,
Framing and all that going on 7 or 8 months later. If it takes that long to frame a house, they're never going to get it done.
no, I'm
You're
not,
gonna
that's
be
not what I'm
fine.
saying. I'm saying when you finish a job and you have landscapers there doing landscaping, people doing hardscaping with pavers, people pouring cement, concrete for, I live it, I know what it is. You have every trade on the job doing their finish work at the end of a job. You'll have 14 trucks there during July.
gonna have it
So my point is, and again, you're entitled to your opinion, I'm in the business, I know what transpires, and I'm just giving you my professional opinion that this, including pilings, actually does, like
just
Brian said,
amazes me.
exacerbates the situation.
Well, let's
The
just
next
have him finish, and then we can go, and
Yes.
everybody has an
right.
opportunity,
And-
rather than,
I respect your right to disagree. I'm just giving you my opinion, and I think that Chapoa and the contractors all feel the same way.
And I just have one note to say that Charles has the expertise in that field. I would think that he would have additional information or more information than any of us that are sitting here.
Well, the only ones that I heard speak out against that at that meeting, not after the fact, was Pappas and you. That's the only ones who spoke out. The rest were fine with these ordinances.
My sense is that the contractors were there and were basically saying, we'll deal with whatever you deal to us by way of ordinance. We have to. We love working here. We will obviously abide by any ordinance. We'll agree with it. We have to. We love working here. But if we had our druthers, we would definitely eliminate the pilings. They would eliminate a lot of it, but the pilings was a big problem.
That was their time to say it.
But
We
wasn't,
got a lot, we
wasn't
covered
Mr.
a lot.
Pappas their speaker? Wasn't he
No.
speaking
How-
for them?
did you- Karen,
No,
did you not
that's-
hear Tom Welsh say, would you rather have 1 day of intrusion, pilings take 1 day? He sat to the left of you down at the end, and then you'll have 14, his exact words were, and perhaps they're in the record, you'll have 14 trucks that show up the next July, because that contractor gets pilings done in September versus July or August.
But what's he going to do September, October, November, December, January, February, March? Surely he's going to get that home built in that period of time. He
No,
might not
that's the whole
finish it.
point. These homes take minimum of 10 to 12
Well, I'll
months
tell
now.
you what, we can put it into effect, and if it turns out to be the disaster you project, we can always go back and revise it.
We can.
Anybody else?
I already voted that, yes, I want to see it go forward.
Well, we'll call for a vote yet. We're still in discussion. I'm asking if anybody has anything more they want to say before I call for the vote. Just making sure.
I will try to be eloquent, but I probably won't be. I think, can I?
Yes.
See, this email, what Charles said about me was true. I went and observed the pilings being driven, and I thought this is pretty unobtrusive, you know.
And I've watched pilings too,
process.
Charles, but I wasn't asked to go look.
Nor was I.
In the one email, what Charles had shared this with me, and where the one builder says, I think all the builders were united in their preference to avoid restrictions on pilings. Well, I totally agree with that. I'm sure they would like to avoid it. It's a natural response from them that we not put a restriction on that. And we've heard from many homeowners, and we gave the builders their opportunity to come here at the meeting, and the house was full. And then you had the separate meeting last Friday with 4 builders to discuss these ordinances. And I'll admit, I've been on the fence, back and forth, and I see a lot of different points to this, but I don't agree with Charles that this is going to make matters worse. I think we're going to build, these houses are going to be built in the summertime. They're either going to be started before the 1st of July, or they're going to be started in September. Either way, we're going to have building going on in the summer months. And if we have a ban on pilings in July and August, I don't want to say prevents, but if it holds up 4 or 5 new construction starts, well, that's 4 or 5 framing jobs and foundation jobs that aren't going on in those peak months of July and August. And, this ordinance starts with the words, whereas Borough Council deems it to be in the best interest of the citizens of Stone Harbor. And, we've heard from year-round residents, and we've heard from part-time residents, and we've heard from vacationers. And I think they're all our constituents. They may not all vote here, but they all are I consider them the property owners and constituents. And I think this is in their best interest to approve these ordinances. When you draw a line and pick a date and say, no, we have a reason for picking the 1st of July because that's when we'll call it the high season starts, and the holidays, the real holidays are in there, and people's vacations are in there. Whenever you pick a date and you draw a line, there's going to be some people that think, well, gee, we're going to, maybe the line should be a little further over this way, or maybe it should be a little further over this way, because we can't start this, and we're going to have to stop that. I think, in thinking about it, the builders are going to have to work on their schedules, and they're going to be able to make this work. I really believe that. I think, and like I say, we're going to have construction in the summertime, regardless of when it starts. So at least we can stop, or at least prevent, delay those 4 or 5 starts in town, the framing, the foundations. The town's only, 40 blocks long. So if 5 of them or so get delayed, that's 1 every 8 blocks. In addition to the ones that are already going on, I think it will make a difference. So,
So there's no
I think we should try.
compromise from you at all, Ray? There's no compromise between?
No.
All right, that's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
I will say to a man at the meeting, the contractors appreciated the fact that we met with them again. They said, no other community has ever done this. At least you're listening to us.
Well, that is good. Anybody else want to say something?
No, again, I just want to reiterate, I'm behind this ordinance. I think it's great. I think that one single portion of it
Two.
is what takes it too far. Other than that, I think it's fabulous. And I think our community, our homeowners, our renters are going to be thrilled when they find out that, hey, it's quiet until 9 on a Saturday. And guess what? We've really put some things in place here that are going to protect the summer season that Chippewa came here and spoke about and said, that's really what it's all about here for us, especially our weekends. So I think this is fantastic. And I think Ray forced the discussion by saying we're not moving forward this when it was first being brought forward. And I think that was wonderful. And I think that was very fruitful to speak with everyone and have that discourse. Just this one little aspect. So, and the way I see this through my eyes as a professional builder, I see something that is not going to work. I may see it differently from all of you, and that's why I'm so vehemently opposed to it, because I see what's going to happen. That being said, you're very correct, Karen. We can come back and take this off the books if it's as bad as I think it will be. But in that, I don't want to overshadow how this ordinance is really a good thing. 99% of it. Just that one portion.
And I
is what
agree with that totally. But we have very seldom, if at all, come back and rescinded anything or taken anything
And that's
off.
that would be my concern. Once it's on the books, it's hard to
Take it
say,
off.
hey, yeah, you know
Exactly.
what, we were wrong here, and we should probably undo this. So yes, that came to my mind as well. Thank you.
Anybody else? Clerk, call the roll.
Mrs. Kramer?
No.
Mrs. Lane?
Yes.
Mrs. Rich?
Yes.
Mrs. Gallagher?
Yes.
Mr. Kraftcheck?
No.
Mr. Parzak?
Yes.
Resolution 2017 S220.
Madam Mayor, I offer Resolution 2000 S-220 for adoption.
Second?
This is a refund of an utility overpayment to 100th LLC. And the amount of that overpayment was $295, will be refunded.
Any discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Mrs. Kramer?
Yes.
Mrs. Lane?
Yes.
Mrs. Rich?
Yes.
Mrs. Gallagher?
Yes.
Mr. Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Parzak?
Yes.
Resolution 2017 S221.
I'd like to offer 2017 S221 for adoption.
Second?
This is a duplicate tax payment refund to the owners, and the amount is $787.17 to the Hagman family.
Any discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Mrs. Kramer?
Yes.
Mrs. Lane?
Yes.
Mrs. Rich?
Yes.
Mrs. Gallagher?
Yes.
Mr. Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Parzak?
Yes.
Resolution 2017 S222.
Madam Mayor, I offer Resolution 2017-S-222 for adoption.
Second?
This resolution authorizes a treatment works application to the NJDEP, and this is related to the application for our pump station. It is necessary in order to move forward with that project.
Any discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Mrs. Kramer?
Yes.
Mrs. Lane?
Yes.
Mrs. Rich?
Yes.
Mrs. Gallagher?
Yes.
Mr. Kraftcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Parzak?
Yes.
I need a motion to go out to bid for the concession stands.
I'd like to make that motion. We will advertise on November 25th. We'll receive bids Thursday, December 14th, 2017, by 11 a.m.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I need a motion authorizing the special events application for the grill demonstration special event.
I'd like to make that motion. And the
Second.
time is 10 to 4.
Sorry.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have no items on the agenda for discussion. May I have a may I have a motion approving the bill list?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I move that at this time, that we approve the bill list and authorize the CFO to pay the bills when the funds are available and the vouchers properly endorsed.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Madam Mayor, I believe we have another resolution, number 8, don't we?
No.
225? The bid for natural gas for the co-op.
We have resolutions for closed session that we're pulling, and then that's it. I
This
do
is
not have.
on, this is on your Dropbox.
No, we're not doing that because we're not going into closed
We
session.
did that last time.
We're not going into.
We did it
closed
last
session.
time? It's on there again. Okay, thank you.
So you'll see on your agenda the resolution for closed session. We are not going to be going into closed session. So, that being said, we'll have the second public comment. Anyone wishing to address mayor and council may do so at this time by coming forward to the microphone and stating your name and address for the record. Seeing no one, I'll close public comment. I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.